por fin, we seize the time, free at last. Learn to love, live to fight, not just for me, but for others. Teach the new blood and live for freedom. I survived the COINTELPRO assassinations, AIDS epidemic, crack era fractured the nation. The interpretation of American democracy is best exemplified in its foreign policy dichotomy. I live a double life of political philosophy, but revolution follows me to struggle for equality against the morally bankrupt, claiming to be born again. It's a civil war again, like MS-13's origin. Ban ethnic studies claiming our culture will swallow them, but you can't conquer people and build a country on top of them, and then feel offended that they breathe the same oxygen. Your family values lack the wisdom of Solomon, but Operation Condor and Operation Bootstrap are poli-sci.
I want to start off by giving call Halal Yahawah by Sham Yahawashai. That's all honor, all praises, and all glory to the Most High God Yahawah, in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. This War Dog YHWH, out of Sakari, Boston, taking another break from work. Decided to do, continue the law portion of my videos, and yeah. So this one's gonna be about the traits of the law, because like the majority of my videos, they're talking about the modern church, kind of saying that the law is done away with. If you haven't seen my other videos, probably should to show that they're not done away with. But this was more on the spirit of the law. It's like the law making us better. The law wouldn't be given to us if it was made to destroy us. Contrary to what the Christians say, what the modern church says. They'll tell you that it's too hard. It's it leads to death and bunch of nonsense, right? But let's see what the Bible says about the law and the traits of the law. Like what does it help us in? What does it help us with? So I'm gonna start off. Right, because a lot of times they tend to separate faith and the law. If you read and you harmonize the scriptures, it tells you that faith and law is the same thing. It's like a package. It was actually part of the Torah, contrary to what they believe and what they teach. Right. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, verse 18. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I should command him. Because we know that Yahawashai, who the world calls Jesus, he's the word of the Most High. He's the word of Yahawah. Like he's the one he's the law, right? And everything that he says isn't of his own fruition, of his own free will. It's the will of the Father, the will of Yahawah. Verse 18 and Deuteronomy 18 and 19. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. Right? So you have a lot of OT onlys, people that say that Christ is Greek and it's a new concept. It wasn't in the Old Testament. He's, how do you say, it's a sin. It's a sin. If you don't listen to Yahawashai, the law, because he is the law, it's sin. Right? I'm going to jump over to Romans 14 and 23. It says, and he that doubteth is damned if he eat, because he eateth not of faith. For whatsoever is not of faith is sin. let's go down to just I want to show you that sin is not keeping the law, because it's saying whatever is not of faith is sin. I should have started with the sin being the transgression. Time is it? 4:46. Um, 1 John 3:4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. Sin is very important. Sin is mentioned throughout the scriptures many times. Some people they like to say that it's something else. It's being rude. It's cursing. Cussing. A bunch of different things. But literally, like they tend to add make make things be sin that are not. Right? It's very simple. Thus saith the Most High. Thus saith Yahawashai. Thus saith the prophets. Right? Whatever the Torah says, the prophet say, Yahawashai says, or the Most High, that's the law. Keep it. If it's applicable to you, keep it. Um, you know what? Just to clarify, make everything easier. I want to further prove sin being the transgression of the law. Right? I'll go back to the faith in a few. The faith being part of the law, but I wanna harp on sin being the transgression of the law because it's a trait. Like if the law is made to better us and perfect or whatever, sin is a trait that's not of the law, right? And that's a trait that we don't want to have. We don't want to have the trait of a sinner, right? So we have to keep the laws. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 4, verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord, commandments are the law, right? Concerning things which ought not to be done, and shall do against any of them, right? So right here is saying that sin, you can sin against the commandments because it's going contrary to the Most High, contrary to the law. Sin is the transgression of the law. Romans 3:20. Therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight. For by the law is the knowledge of sin. So it's before we had the law, before we knew about the law, we wouldn't know sin. We wouldn't know what sin is. We think that we're just surviving, right? Because a lot of times people will be sinning just to survive. And they make the excuse, say, oh, you gotta live, we're human, blah blah blah. But it's us justifying sin with surviving. But then we got the law. We know the law now. We come back to our heritage, and we're learning, what you call it, how to be our best selves. Instead of focusing on living your best life, the way the world says it, you should be worried about being your best self. After you become your best self, by Shem HaMashiach Yahawashai, in the name of Yahawashai, who the world calls Jesus, the Most High might give you your best life, and you'll do it righteously. Focus on your best self, not your best life. What's that verse? It says, he who looks for life, he who gains life shall lose it. All right, I gotta find that. I'll find that after this. I don't want to go off topic. But he who gets life will lose it. Right. Romans 5 and 13. For until the law, sin was in the world. So it's saying before, like before the law was there, sin was in the world, right? Because you remember, what's his face, Adam. Adam's commandments weren't as hefty as ours. They were pretty simple, right? I mean, based off what the scriptures say, because I don't know, I wasn't there, all right? But based off the scriptures, his commandments were that hefty, right? His law wasn't, the law list wasn't huge, and people were sinning. This universal sin, people, because when Moses, a little bit after Adam, it says sin multiplied in the world, he had to drown it out. Wasn't that many laws given, right? It was very simple, very just do what the most I said, right? And then when we get kind of like more detailed, he starts to like baby us a little bit more and give us more guidance through the law to show us our sin, to show us how we were living incorrectly, so he doesn't have to flood us again. I mean, he's gonna have to do it regardless, but with fire. But still, he gave us boundaries and detail, showing us our faults. Um, 5 and 13. For Romans 5 and 13. For until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed when there is no law. Sin was in the world, the law perfected us, right? Like imputed. A lot of people, say like where there is no law, there's no sin, right? So then when we get to sin, now we get held to a different standard, because once he's telling us, now it's different. Back when Noah, we can eat pork, we can eat shrimp, crab, lobster, whatever. Here, around that time, we had the understanding of clean and unclean, but he said you guys can eat whatever. If we were really smart, we wouldn't eat the unclean. But then he goes and he gives us further commandments, and he says, "Yo, you guys like retarded or something? Like, why are you guys eating these bugs of the ocean?" You know. But let's read it in the NLT, because the NLT makes it a little bit clearer. Romans 5:13 NLT. Yes, people sinned even before the law was given, but it was not counted as sin because there was not any law to break. Any yet There was not yet any law to break. Right? Some people say, what you call it? Well, like I said, where there is no law, there is no sin. But when you look at it in context and you look at the bigger picture, he didn't give us the law around the time of Adam and Noah between, but he still said sin multiplied in the world. So there was still sin, but he probably wasn't as aggressive with it. They were probably just really crazy, wicked. They were probably doing some crazy stuff. But where there is no law, there is no sin. Romans 7:7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Because a lot of them, they say that it's the commandments of men. It's not the commandments of God. It's a yoke on our neck. It's more of a burden, right? What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, "Thou shalt not covet." So Paul's literally saying the law showed him what is sin, so that he won't sin, because we'll just be surviving most of the times, and that's our main excuse: is we gotta live, you gotta eat, you gotta reproduce, you gotta do all this thing, you gotta find what's in your best interest, right? A lot of times in your best interest is like if somebody's out there eating your your food, right? They say you're in a place where there's limited food and there's people around. doing it. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to. Our first reaction is survivability. That's not enough food for the both of us. I gotta take this man out. I gotta take these people out. But we know through the law, working together, we'll live longer. But fleshly, so trying to survive, I gotta get rid of them because they're in my area with my food, eating up my stuff, breathing up my air. So, so that's just surviving. And then we would sin because it's not the best. The law will tell you work with your people. Let's see. So I mean that's a couple of them showing that the law going against the law is sin. The law showed us what sin was. Going against the law is sin. Keep the law. Simple. But when you do keep the law, you start being a different person, right? Because the law is perfect. It's the wisdom of the Most High. It's the guidance of the Most High to live this life properly in the way it should be. Right? So being that this is a video of the traits of the law, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 19, verse 7. Get in the KJV. It's nice and simple. Psalms 19 and 7. Yeah. Psalms 19 and 7. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. So to convert yourself to be circumcised in the flesh, you need to keep the commandments. You need to keep the law of God. Give it to us for a reason. We are in flesh. Our soul needs to be converted. I went on my little rant about survivability and how that would make us sin. Just trying to live, trying to survive. Because when people get hungry or people get tired, they get crazy, they get cranky. When they feel threatened, when their survivability gets threatened, their whole mentality changes. Right? So that's why I went on that rant. But because we're in the flesh. But the law is perfect and it converts you, so it makes you born again. It changes you, right? When you understand it, not just keeping it, just keep it, but keeping it to understand it. It's like when you read the scriptures, you don't read it just to read it; you read to understand. When you answer somebody, you don't you dialogue to understand. You don't dialogue just to respond. A lot of times when we're dealing with the modern church, they'll just say things to respond, just to look the part, and they typically trip over themselves for that. They're gonna trip over themselves because there's no weight to what they're saying. They're just trying to say something. All right, but then again, another right. Finishing the verse. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. So it makes you born again and it gives you wisdom. How does it give you wisdom? Because it's the wisdom of the Most High to live in this life. Verse 8. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. It doesn't get any simpler than that, man. It's perfect. It cheers people up. Like when you think, damn, like this is how we're supposed to be treating our people, our brothers and sisters, our elders, our young. It makes you happy. The most I knows what he's doing. Um, you know what? I wasn't gonna read this verse, but it's pretty nice. Verse 9, the next verse. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. I mean, if his judgments are true and righteous, his wisdom must be good. And the law is his wisdom. Damn, this winter, man. Winter's gonna be tough, bro. Winter's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. So we're gonna go back to further to more traits because right there with the sin is like the anti-trait of the law. It's like the exact opposite of law. It's like it's voidness. It's nothing. It's death. Sin is death. Law is life. Sin is death. If you wanna put this as simple as possible, sin is death. Law is life. Easy. Let's go back to the traits. So faith is part of the law. Faith is a trait of the law, right? Romans 14:23. And he that doubteth is damned if he eat, because he eateth not of faith. For whatsoever is not of faith is sin. Because when you keep the law, you're having faith in the Most High. You're having faith in Yahawashai. You're having faith above you're having faith to something above yourself. I don't feels if it looks like survivability is gonna be a trend, but the survivability is the thing of the product of the flesh, right? So we're putting faith in the Most High. That I'm not eating that pork, even if I die, right? That's putting faith in the Most High. That after this, there's a reward for doing what the Most High says, even unto death. Strive for the truth unto death. So it's putting the Most High above yourself and having faith that the reward for doing something that doesn't really seem too smart in the moment, wait, you'll get something after. Um, Matthew 23:23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithes of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law. So he's saying the law, and then these are other traits of the law, right? Judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. They did the basic things, the not eating pork, the having the fringes. They did the basic things, right? But they didn't have the weightier matters. They didn't keep the faith, which is a trait of the law, and judgment and mercy. Because mercy is very important. Um, it's the book of First John, chapter 3, verse 23. And this is his commandment, that we should believe on the name of his Son, Yahawashai Hamashiach, Jesus Christ, right? And to love one another as he gave us commandment. Having faith in Yahawashai and loving one another is part of the law, right? So let's go to another, because it was mentioned faith and I mentioned mercy. Mercy is love, right? Love is a trait of the law. It's maybe one of the biggest traits. It's faith. Oh no, faith. I will say faith is, and then love. Kind of. I'm not gonna. You decide on your time which is more faith or love, right? I'll say it's all the same. Um, but love is a trait of the law. This is the book of John, chapter 14, verse 15. If ye love me, keep my commandments. Keep the law. Love Yahawashai is loving Jesus is keeping the law because he is the law. So you're doing what he says. 1 John 5 and 1. 1 John 5 and 1. Whosoever believeth that Yahushua is the Hamashiach is born of God. So if you believe that Jesus is the son or is the anointed, is the Messiah, is the one that has been prophesied, you're born again. You understand it. You have a certain amount of the Holy Spirit for sure. Continuing the verse, and everyone that loveth him that begat loveth him also that begotten him. So if you love Christ, you love Yahweh. You love the Creator. If you love the Son, you love the Father. Um, 1 John 5:2, next verse. By this we know that we love the children of God when we love God. So if we love Yahawashai, we love God, we love the children, we love our people. Because you can't love your people properly until you love the Creator first. You can try to do it till you're blue in the face. You can say it till you're blue in the face. You can try to the wheels fall off, whatever these phrases are, but you're not gonna do it properly. You're gonna trip up. You're gonna trip up. We're fragile. We're only humans. We're only flesh. We're not gonna be able to do it to the standard and to the trueness until we love Yahweh first. The way we prove we love Yahweh is through keeping the laws. It's through loving His Son, keeping the commandments, and then you'll be a pillar of love for your people, for the children of Israel, for 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 your people. Um, Continuing the verse, in 1 John 5:2. I'll start from the beginning. By this we know that we love the children of God. I mean, yeah, children of God, when we love God and keep His commandments. It's the only way to prove it. So loving your brother is keeping the law. 1 John 5:3, next verse. For this is the love of God, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous. They're easy to do. You have faith, and even if you can't do it on your own, um, I can. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. If you have this hard-headed brother or sister, and they're just hard to love, and they're hard to, you don't want to be brotherly. You have the spirit of Yahawashai is always there to help you. Have faith. Have faith. You have faith in it. He'll help you get to that. Because it might not seem smart to be brotherly. It might not seem smart and beneficial to love your people. Like, you just want to get up and go. Like, yo, damn, these people have faith. Because the reward after that, um, the scriptures say, Yahweh says, how can you love me who you don't see? You can't even love your brother who you do see. Oh, let me get that. Let me find that one right now. So, man, and if you think about it, it doesn't seem too smart. Like if you, let's say you don't believe in God, you don't see Him, He's not here. It's easier to, I don't want to say that. It would seem easier to to care about your peoples because the group effort, the teamwork makes the dream work, right? And even Yahweh knows that. It should be easier to love the people that are around you. Look at that. Same book. 1 John 4:4 and 20. If a man say I love God and hateth his brother, he is a liar. Because it's a part of the law. Love is part of the law. It says if a man say I love God and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen? It wasn't Yahweh saying it, but it was a powerful brother, so a powerful prophet, right? So so these are people that their words stand the test of time. That's what I'm saying. So with that, love is a part of the law. It's one of the weightier matters of the law. It's a trait of the law. The law, traits of the law is faith, obviously mercy, which is love. All that stuff is love. But the law is also righteous. I already read that it's perfect, right? Now let's look at how examples of the law being righteous. That's the same book, the book of First John chapter 5 verse 17. All unrighteousness is sin. So it said that whatever is not of faith is sin. We read that earlier. Now it's saying whatever is unrighteous is sin. And it says sin is the transgression of the law. And then it said that faith is the law. Now we're gonna see that righteousness is the law. It's pretty black and white. Um, all unrighteousness is sin, and there is a sin not unto death. Then he goes into like different calibers of sin, right? Matthew 5:20. For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. How did the Pharisees justify themselves? Although they failed through the law. So he says that our righteousness has to exceed theirs. Right? Deuteronomy 4:8. And what nation is there so great that hath statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? So they're questioning who else has laws and judgments and statutes and laws so righteous as Israel. We know that we're separate from everyone else. They live weird. They have weird laws, weird lives. Some of them might kind of line up with the scriptures, but very few. Right? Just the most common sense, universal laws. Right? Like no sodomy, no eating, like cannibalism, no murder, no shedding of innocent blood. Like a lot of cultures have that because that's like the base. Those are the universal laws. But then they get them. But then we get wiser with it. We get more depth in depth into it because the Most High gave it to us. The Most High chose us. He just gave it to us to kind of separate, have His first fruits and choose His people. Um, Same book, chapter 6 verse 25, different chapter. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God as He had commanded us. So it says our righteousness is keeping the commandments. I can't make this up. Psalms 119 and 141. I am small and despised, yet do I not forget thy precepts. Verse 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Can't make it up. Romans 2 and 26. Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? The law is so righteous that if you don't have the sign of the covenant, which is the circumcision, keeping the law will make your uncircumcision circumcision. Of course, eventually you get circumcised, but because think about this: a woman can't get circumcised. Does that mean she can't be righteous? Right? But she can keep the law. the law could make her righteous without getting circumcised, because you can't get circumcised, right? The same way a man gets circumcised. I'm not telling you not to, but um, if for whatever reason you can't do it, the law can still make you righteous. All right. So those are traits of the law. It's faith, mercy, love, righteousness, perfection. The law is perfect. Let's see what else. Actually, that's all I got for the traits. Right. So the traits are in order to be born again, you have to have those traits in you. Right. You have to. You can't have hate for your brother. Right. You can't. You have to love Yahawashai. You have to have faith. You have to have righteousness. You need to be perfect, or at least strive to be perfect. To begin your born again. To begin your journey of being now born of God. Born of the flesh. You get the spirit of Yahushua, Hamashiach. You become born again. You start to walk in the laws. You don't go be born again, right? And then just delay that and just sit there. You don't want to do that. You want to progress. Pick up laws little by little, as fast as you can, because time is limited. But endure to the end. He that endures unto the end, the same shall we see. All right. So don't let these Christians don't let the modern church tell you otherwise. The law was made to benefit us, not to be a yoke around our neck, right? Not to do us any harm. It was made to better us, because like I said before, the flesh is only trying to survive, only trying to seek pleasures, only trying to live day by day. Not even just it's in the moment. The flesh is in the moment. Whatever it's feeling right now. If I'm hungry right now, the flesh only wants food. Right? If whatever you're pumping iron, whatever, and you got testosterone, and somebody steps on your toes, you're gonna be angry. You're just gonna fight because it's in the moment. When you have faith, and when you're born again, you have faith. You're going, you're looking toward the end. You're trying to see the end goal of everything. The same way, speaking of somebody that exercises, when they exercise, they have faith in their diet, in their regimen, right? Because the end goal they know is going to be to feel good, look good, and live long, right? These scriptures, the law, the end goal is to make a perfect nation that all nations would be, that will confound all nations, and they will look up to this perfect nation. The law is made to perfect us as a nation, but it begins with you, of course, on that one person, but then as a group, then now we're perfect. They're like, wow, what are those people? Like in the verse that I read, they said, what nation has a more righteous law? None, because no other nation has the Most High dealing with them uh, um, so intimately. So, like I said, don't let the modern church tell you otherwise. Keep the commandments. Have faith. Which is again a trait. It's all coupled together. Love your peoples. Have mercy, and just be perfect. Um, call halal. I want to close out. Like call halal Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Yahushai. That's all praises to the Most High God Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Shalom Yasharallah.